I'm here at Tottenham's brand new stadium, where its first Premier League game will be held on Wednesday night against Crystal Palace. Spurs are now without a win in 5 Premier League games, and a top 4 spot is now looking uncertain, with fellow North London rivals Arsenal closing the gap. Man United are also closing the gap on Spurs, continuing their good form under new boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Speaking to Tottenham's media, boss Mauricio Pochettino is remaining calm and believes that a top 4 spot is still in their hands. Palace have managed to pick up 9 points from their last 6 games and will be looking to rain on Tottenham's parade in the first game in their new stadium. Elsewhere, Tottenham have agreed a 10-year deal with the NFL to stage at least 2 games here every season. The stadium has been designed from the outset to stage multiple events, such as the NFL with its retractable pitch and concerts. So just to start off, is it right if I just get an understanding of sort of your role at the Supporters Trust?
I'm the chair of the Supporters Trust.
Mm-hmm. What does that involve doing?
Well, we have a board of 9 people, and that's an elected board, elected by members. And as chair of that, I have to chair meetings, and I have to do all the things that any chairman of a committee does. Really has to help us develop policy and reach a consensus about what we want to do and what are going to be our priorities and stuff like that.
Okay. Why was the trust set up in the first place?
The trust was set up in the first place in 2012, and well, I'll just give you a bit of background.
Okay.
Supporters Trusts themselves were set up around about the turn of the century. There was actually government funding made available to set up an organisation called Supporters Direct, and that was an umbrella group to encourage supporters of football clubs to form trusts. So we were quite late, Charlton were quite late coming to that in 2012. The purpose of the trust, broadly spoken, I guess, is to try to ensure that supporters have a say in the running of the club. So a supporters club traditionally has been something that's sort of been, sort of organising social events, coach journeys to matches and things. Okay. Supporters Trust is a more formal organisation and has as its purpose to ensure that supporters are represented in the running of the club.
Okay.
And some clubs are run by their supporters trusts. Wickham, Portsmouth were famously for a few years. Wickham Wanderers, I think, is still run by its trust, and a lot of the non-league clubs are actually run by the Supporters Trust. Mm-hmm.
So Charlton's a bit sort of different to that, is that right?
Well, I think no. In a way, the clubs that are run by the Supporters Trust are different. It's unusual. I don't know if you know much about the history of Portsmouth, but they basically went into administration twice and were relegated twice and were in chaos financially. Yeah. And the Supporters Trust managed to raise money to buy the club. But they bought it for virtually nothing because the club was in such difficulties.
Yeah.
And clubs like Wickham, what's the other one? There's another one. I think Exeter may be a support. So that sort of size of club, it's more perhaps realistic for a supporters trust to run. Yeah. Once you get into the size of clubs, and we're talking, mega millions, it's not the case. But the role of most supporters trusts in larger clubs, is so that supporters have a voice and are represented in the running of the club.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on a little bit. So I think it's fair to say Charlton have had a little bit of a decline over the recent years. Do you think that's sort of due to the events off the pitch with the owner?
Yes, I do. I think that the owner, when he bought the club, bought a club that had its financial challenges, but otherwise was healthily run with a good supporter base and a good potential. And I think he made a number of errors of judgment and mistaken appointments, and the outcome of that pretty soon was the not only the relegation to League One, but also a loss of goodwill of a lot of supporters, and I think the loss of 4,000 season ticket holders. I mean, some of those people, I'm one of those. I no longer have a season ticket. Doesn't mean I don't go to games, but there's something about buying a season ticket which is it's a commitment. You're going to go to almost every game if you don't have one. Yeah. And a lot of people stop buying them out of a sense of protest.
And I guess the loss of season ticket holders as well was really impacted the players because there's obviously not as many people attending. So is that quite a big reason as well?
No, I think the loss of season ticket holders has impacted revenue coming into the club.
Yeah.
The players, well, I suppose if you're playing in front of a crowd of 18,000 and then a couple of years later you're playing in front of a crowd of 9,000, maybe it's not so easy to be motivated. But I wouldn't say that the falling crowds are a reason for poor performances on the pitch. Yeah, that wouldn't be my view.
So what would you say the general feeling is towards Du Châtelet?
I think people feel very frustrated because he is probably the richest owner the club has ever had, but has presided over probably the worst performances, not that we've ever had, but presided over very poor performances. Because, as you may be aware, he presided over the change of 6 managers in 3 years, a whole period of instability in the club. And no club is really going to progress without stability. Yes, you can have a run of wins, you can win 5 games out of 8 or something and move up the table, but in the long term. And it wasn't only the changes of manager, it was the competence of the managers he employed. And so I think people feel very frustrated. They feel here is a guy who, had the financial clout to really help the club push on because, he didn't listen to people who knew about the club and its culture and its history and traditions and wanted to do it his way. So people felt very angry. I think since his announcement that he was giving up and selling the club, which was a year ago now, the frustration has slightly changed because the frustration now is, why is it taking so long to sell the club?
Yeah.
On a day-to-day, the actual football on the pitch is quite good at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's not interfering, and he's now got a manager in place who is competent. But again, long-term, any club that is for sale, during the time it's for sale, it's not going to be stable. I come back to that word, stability. So there's a big. I mean, who knows what the truth is, Jamie? I don't know. But the belief of supporters is that he wants a price. He wants a price for the club which is higher than it's realistically worth, which is why it's taking so long. The club say that isn't the case, but you asked what supporters felt, and I think there is a feeling that if he really wanted to sell it,
he would,
but he'd have to take a bit of a financial hit.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, James.